My name is Daniel. I'm Daniel Pierce. I'm the managing director of TTG Media, based in London. We produce magazines, websites, and lots of events ourselves primarily for travel agents in the UK and for many others in the industry. We also have a number of partners in other countries, such as TTG MENA, that many of you will know, TTG Italia, TTG Russia, TTG Czech Republic, and TTG Nordic. So we can take a global view of travel selling and the importance of travel agents. And in many ways, that's surprising. I know if you'd come to ATM 10 years ago, you might have heard predictions about the death of travel agents, about the rise of direct sales. But here we are in 2017 talking about the evolution of travel agents, just how strong so many travel agents are today, how they've got there with the help of technology, and where they're going from here. I think all our panel will tell you this afternoon about the strength of travel agents and people that will help consumers with their decisions around the biggest purchase that many of them will make year after year, their holidays. So let's hear from our experts. I'm delighted to say that we have on my furthest right here, Peter Whittle. Peter is Global Sales Director for TravelTech. And TravelTech do all sorts of things across technology to help people in the travel industry sell more travel. So from building websites to enhancing the travel sales process and making it easier to sell travel. Peter has a great perspective to bring to the conversation this afternoon. And here on Peter's left, we have Ernesto Sanchez. Delighted to have Ernesto here. Thank you for speaking in English for us as well. Impeccable English, I might add.
I'll try my best.
Ernesto has worked 11 years at Amadeus, is that right? 12. Ernesto's biography needs updating. Ernesto is head of commercial strategy and business management at Amadeus, who have that terrific stand just down there that I'm sure many of you have seen. And again, a lot of what Amadeus does is all about making it easier for travel agents to sell more travel. And finally, on my immediate right here, Simon Hudson. Simon, welcome. Simon is CEO of Brandster and an entrepreneur that's 3 years into your business. 3.5 years into his business, Brandster, which similarly works closely with businesses in travel, but also with many businesses across many different sectors in using the latest technology, the latest social media, all sorts of techniques to help them sell more of what they do. So delighted to have such an interesting and diverse panel with us this afternoon. And if I do my job properly, you won't be hearing too much more of me, but you'll be hearing a lot more of them. So I'm going to throw it first over to Ernesto. I'd like you to tell us a little bit about Amadeus's perspective and how you feel that the travel landscape, the travel sales landscape has changed and where we are today. Ernesto.
Well, I think the question should be the other way around. Is what has not changed today? This year is very special to us because we are celebrating 30 years of the company. So we are 30 years young. And yesterday we had a press conference and we were taking a look back in the last 30 years, right? So many things have changed in 30 years, not only because the circumstances are different. For example, in the year 1987, Michael Jackson was released in Bad, or Margaret Thatcher was elected the third time. Now 30 years later, right, the landscape is completely different in many, many things. At Amadeus, we invest a lot of money on a regular basis in order to take a look into the market and to see what are the key technology and travel trends. And specifically in the last years, we have seen massive changes in both areas. Traveler trends, they are becoming more demanding, more savvy, more extremely digitally oriented, extremely fragmented as well. So it's no longer about just one group or several different groups of travelers. So each traveler wants to be treated a unique way. And from the technology point of view, well, you know that. I mean, if you enter into a travel agency today, the kind of approach and the kind of technology and everything is completely different than 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's going to evolve even more dramatically in the next years. These days we have been talking about virtual reality, augmented reality, Internet of Things, robotics. So long story short, I think that the changes have been dramatic in the last years, and it's going to even accelerate probably.
Okay, thank you. So lots of technological advancements that anybody coming to ATM in previous years will notice the pace of change, all of these coming through and visible on the show floor. I think virtual reality is one thing, for example. There's lots of here today. Peter, over to you. Tell us a little bit from your perspective. Travel tech for about 20 years?
Well, that's right. I mean, we've been providing technology solutions to travel agents for about 20 years. So we've seen the evolution, if you like, as we're talking about here. But this session's called about the new age sort of travel agent. But a lot of the fundamentals haven't changed of what a travel agent needs to do well. It's having that customer relationship. It's being able to find the right product for the need of that particular consumer and be able to have the relationship and talk to them in the right way. Now, before that might just have been face-to-face with a spreadsheet, but now, with all the different technology available, that's changed. But the fundamentals of what a travel agent's trying to do here and the uniqueness a particular travel agency can bring to a relationship and how do they harness that and use technology to do that, that's, I think, is key what's changed over the years.
Okay, thank you. Simon?
Hey, how you doing?
Just tell us a little bit about what Brandster does, because I know maybe not working directly with travel agents, but you've certainly worked with a number of companies in travel, haven't you?
Yes, so Brandster was born about 3.5 years ago out of a need for brands and agencies being able to build creative technology on social media. We are the region's official partner for Twitter and Facebook, and we build what are called chatbots. You may have seen them, quite familiar at the moment. And a chatbot is a robot that sits on a social channel that allows you to do instant gratification messages with a brand. We work with brands such as British Airways, Jumeirah, and a lot of companies in the UAE such as Coca-Cola and Pepsi. What we do with these guys is we actually create them a campaign-based solution on social media such as Facebook or Twitter. And a scenario with that would be that you want to find out information where British Airways may fly. So rather than going on a website or rather than actually looking and getting details, you would send a message to British Airways and they would instantly reply with a question, where would you like to go today? Because we're deeply integrated into the social channel, we know a lot of demographic about that person. So we know if they're married, if they've got children, we can provide them tailored solutions around what it is that they're looking for. We also provide a deeper level integration, which allows you to be able to know even more about a user. So if they're a Skywards or an Avios member, how often they travel, where they travel to. But one thing that's key to point, and something that we were talking about before the panel, robots are that, they're robots. And if you lose the human interaction, you don't get the best experience. There's a huge talk around artificial intelligence at the moment, but it's new. And if you've ever had an artificial intelligence conversation, it's not that intelligent. So I think it's important that as technology evolves and as companies like us are born to help serve clients that are looking for these solutions, that we work closely with companies like these guys here to be able to offer that service and solution that is end-to-end successful. We live in a world where everybody wants instant gratification. I always use an example with an Uber. If you ever look at Uber and it says it's going to take 7 minutes, you're mad. I mean, it's 7 minutes, but you then look for one that's 2 minutes. And this is the world that we're moving into. So to be able to send a message if you've lost your bag at an airport or you want to check into a hotel and you get an instant response that tells you that you've done that, then the user's happy. It also works if you've got problems, that you've lost your bag or whatever and you need to complain. The biggest thing for me is working with companies and travel agents to understand what it is that they're trying to get from their end user. If their end user is looking for a personalized, tailored experience, a chatbot is not for you. If you're looking for something a little bit more bespoke, then you'll obviously go to see a human. And before I pass the mic, I always use an example with Emirates. They've got an amazing airport, Terminal 3, very close to here. If you fly economy, it's full of terminals where you don't go and check in with a human. You check in using a terminal and a machine. If you go to the business class lounge, there are no terminals. It's just desks of humans. And I think that is what we're moving into. Robotics are going to handle the masses and the lower end scale, but humans are going to handle the upper end personal scale.
Yep. And I think that's a great point. And actually, if you just listen here now, the hum of face-to-face conversations that are going on outside here now, the ongoing success of events like Arabian Travel Market is the best illustration there is that automation isn't taking over. Hopefully, it's adding to the experience that we all get when we're face-to-face. So let's talk about some of the travel agencies that you guys work with. We want to hear a little bit about some practical examples of maybe traditional travel agencies that you might be helping on the technology side. Tell us about some success stories. Peter.
Yeah, we work with Flight Centre globally, and particularly in Australia, where they have 2,000 travel agents. On the high street. So there you go. That's success. And they actually use our platform to curate offers by packaging together cruise, flight, and hotels, make it a very simplified product to buy. So if you think about a cruise, if you think about a combination with flight and hotels, how it can be quite a complex product in some ways, but they use our platform to understand the different personas of clients that they have, and then package product, and then curate it and push that out in front of the sales teams in each of their retail outlets. So it's about matching the right sales channel and the right level of communication with product, and that's how they use our platform to actually do that. Another exponent of using our platform would be someone like a Cooperative Travel, who are actually in the UK.
Which company?
A Co-op Travel.
Co-op Travel,
yeah. And what we've done, very similar to what airlines do, is that we created a customer portal within their website where it's about just asking questions and finding more data about that particular client, as you expect if you are part of Emirates or one of the loyalty programs. And how would you like to be communicated with? Is it via social media, or do you actually want to speak to someone?
Yeah.
And actually, a travel agent, a mid-sized travel agent, doing that, they're actually probably ahead of the curve, really trying to understand what their clients are looking for. So a couple of examples.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And from Amadeus's point of view, Ernesto, I know you've done a lot of work in terms of using technology to help agents after the sale, but maybe before they travel, before the customers travel. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Actually, one of the things that we have seen in the last years is that the whole travel cycle has evolved a lot, and is now far more complex to address than in the past. So a few years ago, whenever a traveler used to go to a travel agency, offline travel agency at the time, it was just, I want to go to this destination and that's it. Now the role of the travel agency evolved so at the point that they need to inspire the customers first, because many times, many of the customers, they have holidays, they want to go to a destination, but they are looking for inspiration as well. They need to provide search capabilities even before booking, and the traveler does its own homework as well. In some cases, they initiate the search at home through different channels. Could be through the laptop, through the iPad, through the mobile phone, etc. And then they go to a travel agency because they are the advisor. And they are the ones who are, especially in this part of the world, the face-to-face interaction is extremely important. And therefore, that can make a difference. Then after do the booking, then there is a window opportunity of 24 hours in which most of the travelers are more willing to acquire additional services, right? So the travel agencies can upsell or cross-sell. And then 24 hours before the trip, when you are packing everything, you're thinking about that, there's another window opportunity. When you go to the airport, another window opportunity. At the airport even, there are more chances also to sell some services.
Yeah.
In-trip has changed completely. Now, not only because the travelers are going to be connected 24 hours, And because in case that there are any kinds of disruptions, they expect the travel agencies to take care of them,
Yeah.
and the travel agencies need to be prepared. And post-trip, because they they do use, they do ratings of all the different hotels, restaurants, resorts in which they have been, and those that post-trip can really is the end of the cycle, but it's the beginning of the next cycle because
Yeah.
they inspire all the travelers, right?
How do those things work on a practical level, though? How is Amadeus sort of prompting the agent to take advantage of those opportunities?
Well, what we are doing is we are trying to spot all the potential cross-selling and upselling opportunities out there and provide the travel agencies with the technology required. Some of them are becoming very sophisticated, I would say. For example, one of the technologies that we are providing is Fare Optimizer, and we have a travel agency in UAE which is using that, which is ATS. So thanks to that technology, a traveler can do a booking, but if the fare goes down, then we can automatically rebook them with a lower fare in the same route, and they
Yeah.
can get a refund.
Yeah. Okay. Very, very good. Peter.
Yeah, I just want to add a very good point about inspiration and trying to provide inspiration at every point of contact. I think it's very true. And I mean, it's evolved from having search engines which provide thousands of search results on a website where the customer's just overawed by what's possible.
Yeah.
And it's using the expertise of the travel agent to put product together and match it to the profile of the customer coming onto the website or walking into the store or calling onto the call center.
Yeah. So again, the technology isn't working in isolation. It's working in conjunction with human intelligence.
Well, that's right. So we provide all those data capture tools for travel agents, be it a CRM integrated with all the various booking engines, or we actually analyze. We've done over 12 billion searches in the last 20 years of travel product. So we have a very good understanding of the trends of what different profiles of clients are looking for. So we can actually harness those trends and help the travel agents with that data to make informed sort of offer generations to different profiles of clients.
Yeah.
And that's really where the future is. Again, it's very simple, basic things you're doing here that travel agents have always done, but using technology to enable that.
Yeah. Simon, let's bring in.
Yeah, I just wanted to just
Some
jump
examples.
in, carrying on that. So last week I was in San Francisco at the global Facebook event. And if anybody of you have followed that closely, you'll have seen that the virtual reality is a big thing that they're betting on. There's a lot of stands over here with Oculus goggles and the virtual reality worlds that you have. The thing with virtual reality is you can jump and experience anything in a quicker, basically in seconds. When it comes to travel agents and it comes to actually going and experiencing those, these goggles and this equipment is not cheap. It's quite expensive. So Facebook had these booths around the conference where you could actually jump into this world and see what it would be like in another part of the world by just choosing their destination. So when it comes to travel agents, what's interesting about the data points that the guys were mentioning, search is something that we've lived with for years, but there's a new wave of search, and that new wave of search is choosing the destination. So if you put the Oculus goggles on and you want to choose a holiday which is skiing or sunny, you can capture those data points of what the user wants. But then you can actually let the person bring in their friends on social media. So you could, in a scenario, put the Oculus goggles on and a travel agent on the street in London. You could go, oh, I'm going to go to the Bahamas and this is what I'm going to do. And you can actually take a selfie of you in the Bahamas in the virtual reality world and post it on your social media channel. And go, hey guys, who's jealous? I'm going to the Bahamas. Does anyone want to come with me? And what happened? I mean, you know, this is crazy, but this is what was happening. So you have kind of like a digital you, like an avatar in this world. But what's good about that is that if you've got comments of people who are talking about wanting to go to the Bahamas as well, they're leads. So the travel agent can actually track those and see what's going on and then communicate with those through chatbots and through direct message channels and go, hey, Simon, we saw that you're interested in going to the Bahamas with John, or your wife, maybe, not John, and do you want to book it? And then you can actually book it and, you know, follow on. And then when it comes to then what you were saying about the touch points of then actually checking them in at the airport, the opportunities that you've got for maybe advertising and giving them value-added services, maybe upgrade your seats or upgrade your hotel room, drinks on arrival if you're vegetarian, etc., etc., etc. So there's so many different entry points into travel now. It doesn't just have to be walking down to the street, to the travel agent. When I was younger, my mum used to drag me to go and look at Thomas Cook in brochures, and it was boring, right? But now technology has arrived. You can Google it, you can search for it, etc., etc. So I think it's interesting that travel agents do exist, but there's a possibility that they're going to exist even more when technologies such as virtual reality do come, because you're going to have places to go and sample this virtual reality, if that makes sense. Everybody's not going to have virtual reality in their house.
No.
It is just too expensive and a little bit too complex. Maybe in 10 years, but not in the near future.
But we'll get to a point where every high street travel agent should have a virtual reality headset.
100%. So if you go into the travel agent and you're sat there and you don't know where to go, you just put the goggles on and you jump into the Bahamas or to Dubai or to ski. Maybe sit in a car and travel down Sheikh Zayed Road, etc.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh, do you want to book here? Cool. Now look at the hotels, and then you can actually go and experience the Madinat Jumeirah or the Burj Al Arab or Atlantis, and you can actually get a real feel, and then you can go even further and look at the room.
Yep.
I want this room, I want that room. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Peter, are you doing anything in this space with virtual reality?
Well, not virtual reality. No, we're probably more the engines behind providing the data to actually curate offers to a travel agent. But from an innovation perspective, just different ways of choosing a holiday. I mean, we have quite a few of our travel agencies saying we want to become the Tinder of travel, where instead of actually doing those traditional searches of show me availability on a particular date and I want to go to this particular destination, it's all about imagery and swiping. I like that style of, I want palm trees, I want the pool, I want these, and just
matching you with your perfect holiday partner.
Again, it's just well, maybe, but more about matching with your perfect holiday and the actual preferences and attributes of a hotel or a more of an emotion that you want from your holiday, and then that profiles back to an actual type of holiday, and then it can provide the relevant offers. It's just different ways of using data and content to actually bring people into the buying process.
Yeah. Ernesto, anything with virtual reality going on at Amadeus at the moment?
Yeah, well, actually, today and yesterday and the day before, we were showing a prototype of virtual reality in our booth, in our stand.
Yeah.
So it's an application that we have developed, and we have a prototype that is now being tested in Germany and in France, and it provides like an absolute immersion for the travel for the agents that they can offer the travelers whenever they go to a travel agency in order to choose the destination. I think it's talking about virtual reality and in general all the different technologies. One of the main challenges that that we have in the travel industry is what technology is going to be really relevant in the near future, because there are thousands of different trends out there. But we need to take into consideration the level of maturity of the technology and the potential impact that they will have in the travel industry. And even despite of that, if we at the end do a filter and we have 2, 3, 4 max technologies that we believe is going to have an impact, it's going to be very important adoption. Something very funny happened to us yesterday in our press conference. So we were having a press conference of Amadeus, and we were...
Indeed, Ernesto is on page 8 of this week, of today's ATM Daily. So have a look. He's famous.
I'm becoming famous. So what happened is that we were showing all the different prototypes that we had, the new technologies, and etc. And there was a man asking questions, and he said, please stop investing in technology. He was scared about the robots. He said, I don't want to see robots in the travel agencies because at the end they are going to replace the humans. And it's something related, also linked to what we were saying before. I mean, technology is there, but still the human interaction and the human management will be essential and it will be required, even despite of the evolution, of the huge evolution of artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah.
So we need to make sure, and I think that's going to be probably the killer application of the killer treatment in the future, that we are using the right technology with the right human approach.
Okay. Yeah.
Just jumping in on the technology, there's a company that's quite new. It's called Snap Travel, and they only sell holidays on Facebook Messenger. They don't have any other ways that they sell holidays. and they were on stage at the conference last week. And in the first week, I think they said, they had 15,000 inquiries from 2 Facebook posts. And they were able to gather so much data about that number of people that they could then continue the rest of that month just from speaking to those 15,000 people about where they wanted to go and actually shaping packages around that. So they said, imagine if we had 10 posts or 100 posts and we put ads behind it, because Facebook has got such a huge reach and the barrier to entry now is minimal. You don't have to download an app or visit a website. You just start to chat. It's crazy, but what's missing in that is the back-end systems. You have to have that brain and that CRM to allow you to connect those hotels to this chat platform.
Yeah.
So there's a big gap in the market right now of chatbots and VR and all of that, which is the entry points and the actual booking engines in the hotel. We do work with Jumeirah here, and they're looking at evolving what they're doing at the moment. And there's so many cool innovations and ideas behind it, but it comes down to the central system. They've got, I think, 95 restaurants, and they need to have centralized booking systems. So unless you have this core underneath it, it doesn't matter how quickly you evolve the technology at the front end, because you're never going to be able to get that right person on the right seat. And that is really where we are, I believe, in the travel industry, is managing those kind of journeys from start to end and back again. There's a lot of ways that you can talk to a customer, speak to a customer, but to actually know if that customer has spoken to you on Facebook, traveled through Dubai, stayed in this hotel, enjoyed it, has any complaints, has great things to say, has photos of their family, and actually know that journey, that's the bit that's difficult, I think, right now.
Going back to your example with Snap Travel then, so they put 2 posts on Facebook. How do they get their customers there to begin with? Are they promoted posts?
Yeah,
or
so it's literally
word of mouth?
So Facebook obviously makes a lot of money through media and ads.
Yeah.
They have a very, very powerful targeting platform for media and ads. So they could easily, if they wanted to sell hotels in Dubai, they could search for anybody that's talked about Dubai in a recent Facebook post and target them.
Yeah.
So now that person's scrolling through Facebook and they're seeing cats and babies and all that you see on Facebook, and they see hotels in Dubai, let's chat. So you click on that and start a conversation. So they're able to really, in pinpoint accuracy, target the audience that they want. And they then know if they're married, if they have kids, and they can offer certain room types specific for that. Obviously, you know, family travel is very different to single travel. So there's a lot of upsells that you can do for a family of travel rather than single.
Peter?
Yeah, I think what's important as well about the journey that a customer goes through is also that buying journey they go through isn't through just one media. It's through multiple contact points, be it a website, be it social media, be it talking to someone. And it's having the systems which actually tell you and give you that holistic view of that customer. And that is key. It's understanding, it's capturing that data at all those points. And they might get to that point on the website where it might be a high involvement purchase, it might be a luxury cruise or around the world cruise. And they've done the research on the website, but they really want to speak to someone before they give that $15,000 to someone. And it's been able to seamlessly take them through that journey into the call center. When they dial in, you know what they've been, based on their profile, we can link to the phone systems, understand who they are, and then have a very relevant conversation with them as you already know what they've been looking at.
There's still a reluctance to spend a large amount of money on a mobile, isn't there, I think?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, and it's different types of product work. Commodity products it's a simple purchase decision. Yeah. So you know, the family holiday, the emotional purchase of that, very important couple of weeks in the year. Yeah. You want to have that security around that decision you're making. So, but you'll do a lot of research. You'll visit 8, 12 plus sites before you actually speak to anyone. Yeah. And so you need to be, as a travel agency, understanding that, and that you've got the right product when they're doing that research, but then you can bring them into the purchasing decision in the right way, in the right channel, the way the customer wants to speak to you.
Yeah.
And also as well, just it depends on the age and the type of person that's booking, right? You know, we're, sorry to say it, but we're quite old when it comes to technology. kids that are born today are used to using Apple iPads where they click a button to buy a game.
Yep.
They don't really see cash. When I first moved here 7 years ago, we used check and cash on delivery, and these checks are still valid now.
Yep.
But kids of today, and when I say kids, that can be young kids, older kids, kids' first holidays, 16, 18, 20, whatever that might be, on your own as a young adult, your spending habits are very different. So if you're a kid and you're used to buying things on Apple, and then you want to go into to sit in front of a travel agent and actually speak to somebody and them click a few buttons, that's going to annoy you if you're younger. But if you're the older generation, that's what you would like. So
Yeah.
I think it's just actually being able to offer a product, and as you said, following that person. If you've just spent half an hour searching for a $15,000 holiday to the Maldives, and then it says, right now, let's chat to you, and it goes, where do you want to go? You're not gonna. It's like when you press all those buttons on the bank, and it's like press 1 for this, 2 for this, and you get through to the customer, and they're like, can I have your name and your credit card, please?
Yeah.
So what was the point in that
Of all
before?
that,
So
yeah.
that's kind of important. So I think it depends on the age of the customer and really what
So
they're looking to do.
are you saying we're going to see a big change in this type of thing in the next 10 years? As today's
Yeah.
teenagers become those in their mid-20s that are starting to spend a lot of money on travel?
So I do a lot of, when I'm selling the products, a lot of it is education. And we go through these kind of decades of tech. So if you look at 1996, when Google.com was bought, that was the start of the website decade. Facebook wasn't born until 8 years later in 2004. If you then look at 2006, which is the birth of the mobile app, Instagram and WhatsApp were born 4 years later in 2010. Last year, Mark Zuckerberg stood on stage and said, bots are the future. VR is the future. That was 2016. Follow trend. That means that's going to take 2 years for there to be something massive that is going to be out there. So we're not there yet. And I think that we're probably a long way from that, and especially virtual reality, and that's a little bit scary. But yeah, I do think that that's what people are worried about is generation X. I don't even know what generation I am, to be honest. I mean, Y or Z. People
No,
keep
I don't
asking
know
me.
either.
I just say, yeah, Z or what I mean. But whatever that younger generation is,
Yep.
those are the people who are, they're today's kids are tomorrow's CEOs, and that's going to be where
Yeah.
the travel is. So
So can we talk about the future of the new age travel agent with any confidence? Will we know? How do we know what they're going to look like 10 years from now when we're standing here at ATM? Ernesto.
Well, I think we have a few signs, right? Well, we don't have superpowers. We don't have a crystal ball. We cannot tell. We just can do hypotheses about the future. A bit of elaborate on what Simon was saying, and to provide a glimpse of optimism about the future, specifically for Middle East and Northern Africa. A couple of years ago, we released a report called GCC Shaping the Future of Travel. And we were trying to take a look into the 5 effects that are going to shape the future of travel in the years to come. 25% of the population in GCC is below 15 years old. 25%. That's amazing. And there are a few other regions in the world in which we have such a big percentage of the population which are below 15 years. And historically, Middle East and Northern Africa, in terms of technology adoption, unfortunately, we have been more laggards than forerunners, right, in terms of adoption. So what's going to happen probably in the near future, and I think it's happening as of today, is that we are seeing some kind of leapfrog effect. So we are seeing that in terms of technology adoption and evolution, they are becoming now forerunners, and they are setting trends around the world. So that's something that we will need to take into consideration. Also jointly with the fact that the culture of Middle East is very unique, and just to make a comparison, because with the culture in Europe or for example in Scandinavia, in which in this part of the world people really want to have face-to-face interaction. They just want to go to the travel agency. Even if we picture a very futuristic idea of the travel agency, the new age travel agent, there is going to be a lot of human interaction mixed or blended with technology.
but also a lot of variation globally, perhaps. Then,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. What sort of differences do you see between different markets currently, Peter? 'Cause I know travel tech's a global business, offices, Dubai,
Yeah, Dubai
Scotland,
and
Australia.
I was down at Latin America a couple of weeks ago
Yeah.
in Brazil. I mean, fundamentally, as I was saying, the needs of a client and how a travel agency must service them are the same. I mean, the structure of markets are different.
Yeah.
In some of the more mature markets, obviously, there's a direct relationship between a supplier and a travel agent. Others, there's very much a wholesale market in between, and that has challenges in technology as well about
Yeah.
that distribution of product. But yeah, the fundamentals are the same, and some are more mature and more advanced. Maybe some of the point of sale technologies that we're talking about in different sales channels.
Yeah.
But everyone's trying to get to the same place at different speeds. So yeah, it's sort of a bit of an arms race, if you like, in different regions about who's. But sometimes you think I go to America with our technology, and obviously a very large market, but quite often in other markets from here in the Middle East and Europe, we're more advanced about things like even things like dynamic packaging and enabling travel agents to be able to do that.
Yeah.
It's new. That's new age. Although we've been doing that in the UK for a good 10 years. So some things are surprising when you go around the world and where they are with the technology.
Yeah, and quite a challenge for any business that's operating globally.
That's right, yeah, and there's all sorts of different challenges, not just at the front end, but from different payment methods. Some cultures are very much used to paying by installments, others are just used to paying by credit card, and having, as a travel agent, the right technology to be able to handle those different arenas, particularly if you're a travel business that is global as well, such as a flight center, obviously currency and language, but also payment methods and many other things have to be considered.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And Simon, you obviously do a lot of work outside of the travel industry. Can you give us some pointers from other sectors as to what we might see to come, what the future might hold in terms of technology?
Yeah, so we just launched a product for Volkswagen about 2 months ago that allows you to book a test drive via Twitter direct message. And what's really interesting about this is that you're taking an automotive industry which typically would result in you going to a car garage, looking for a car, booking a test drive, checking it out, seeing if you like it, driving it and buying it. When we did the research, especially in Dubai, the amount of people that buy a car and don't even drive it is unbelievable. They just want it fully loaded, is what they say. I want it fully loaded and it needs to be black. And that's the requirement.
What
right?
do they do with it then?
Well, I'm not sure, to be honest, but like they can actually, if you look at the way that technology would work in that respect, you would not necessarily do a test drive booking solution. You would do a product configurator solution. So you would choose your color, you would choose your rims, your leather, whatever it might be. But I think it always, as well, comes down to cost. I don't know. I've not necessarily. I've been married a while, so I don't really choose where I go on holiday anymore. But when I did choose when I went on holiday, cost was quite important. So I don't know what it's like now if people are actually going, this is my budget, where can I go? Or I want to go somewhere. Like, we get a lot of people from the UK coming here on holiday, always guaranteed, whether it's only a 6-7 hour flight. I don't know where, when I was younger, I didn't go to Dubai. I went to Ibiza or Spain or Canary Islands or whatever. Yeah. So again, I think it comes down to all of these changes as to what they actually do. But in answer to your questions of different verticals, anything that you do, whether it be automotive, travel, restaurant booking, to be honest, is the biggest. In the event last week at Facebook, they were talking about these QR codes. And these are what you would expect. Snapchat has them. It basically allows you to scan it with a camera and start a conversation. And all of the apps these days are camera first. If you look at Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, they're all putting the camera button front and foremost. So restaurants now are looking at very innovative ways to allow you to book directly from the tables. And that would be, there's a cool example in Dubai where there's a table and it's just full of QR codes. So whatever you want, you scan it, And then it basically, once you scan it, it then starts the order process. It knows what seat you're at. There's no human interaction. There's a lot of sun lounges if you've been in Dubai. There's a lot of people sunbathing, and ordering drinks is a problem, believe it or not. Right?
Yeah.
So you sat on your sunbed and you have to order your drink. So imagine, that's a problem. But
Yeah.
hotels are looking at putting these QR codes on the sunbeds that you can scan. It sends a notification to the waiter, and he then brings you your pina colada. But again, if that doesn't have the CRM system behind it, he doesn't know where to send the pina colada to. So the technology can be applied to any vertical. And from our business perspective, we're helping brands on a campaign level to start with, whether it be the launch of a new phone or the launch of a new car. We're just about to do something cool for the launch of the iPhone, the new iPhone, and the new Samsung S8. So there's a lot of possibilities, but I just think it comes down to really what if you're looking at travel, what the travel person wants. Do they want a nice hotel? Do they want a seamless experience? And what is it that they're trying to get from that technology? If not, then just go and speak to a human and get it done quite quickly.
Okay. Yeah. Peter.
Yeah, I mean, so we only work in travel as a vertical, but in terms of experience, I'm not even talking about technology. I was going to go restaurant as well, but my local pub, you know, anywhere who they have an exact knowledge of my needs,
Yeah.
and they know my favorite drink, and they have the relationship, and they instill loyalty, and actually to be able to create that emotion,
Yeah.
in
Well,
your business.
It's
using
called the
tech.
hospitality industry,
That's
and
right, yeah.
how hospitable can technology be?
Well, that's right. It's
Yeah.
really it's the layer behind it, but it's creating that emotion and human face and interaction with the business. And I think
Yeah.
if you can create that within your travel agency,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having said that, when I arrived at the address in Dubai the other night, quite late, I didn't want to speak to someone on the phone. I picked up the tablet and ordered a sandwich on there. And I can relate to that, you know, from my experience the other night. Yeah.
It's matching, at the right moment in time with the right profile of client, how you want to interact with them, how you want to do business with them. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
But I think too, I mean, when I was younger, I used to pick up the house phone and speak to call my friend to ask him to go and play football. The first person I spoke to was his parents. So I then spoke to his parents and said, "Does John want to come and play football?"
Yeah.
His mum might say, "Oh, hi Simon, how are you? How was school? You know, have you
Yeah.
got much homework?" Like fishing to see if John's doing his homework or whatever. But I had an interaction with another human, and that helped me. Now kids
Yeah.
just send a WhatsApp and go, "Let's go down and have a game of football."
Yeah.
So they don't want to interact. They're not interacting with people they don't know.
Yeah.
So for you, you didn't want to pick up the phone. You just used an iPad. That's because you probably spent a lot of time on your phone. So your mind is telling you now you quite like being on your own and using your phone. You're comfortable in the technology environment that you're in. But if you didn't have that and you'd have had to travel and you didn't have a phone, you'd have probably started a conversation with somebody at the airport. And and I think there's so many different aspects as to what causes that. It's hard to really put your finger on it.
Yep. We're going to throw it to questions in just a second, but just to all of you, really, how do you book your travel? Talking maybe leisure travel rather than business. Do you use a travel agent, Peter?
Well, it depends on the product, and it
Yeah.
depends if it's a city break where I might do it myself, or
Yeah.
if it, as I was talking earlier, if it's like if I'm taking my wife somewhere special, then it's a very important trip, and then
Yeah.
I need an expert advice, and that's where you engage with the experts, and
Yeah.
I might do a lot of research myself, but in the end, that's where I'd use a travel agent.
Yeah, and that's another aspect of the new age travel agent we haven't really spoken about, but this transition from travel agents, from order takers to advisors, to experts, to travel consultants. It's an important shift as well, isn't it?
It is, and that's really what I see as the future. It's harnessing the technology to automate and understand your clients in the right way.
Yeah.
But guess what? Everyone's going to be doing that to some extent, using their technology, trying to use the data and do the right thing.
Yeah.
But what's unique about you as an individual, as a travel business? What expertise do you have and all your team have?
Sure.
And how do you harness that and make that part of your brand and how you actually sell to your clients?
Yeah. Okay. Ernesto, how do you book your leisure travel?
Well, I agree with him. I think it depends on what you're looking for. And at the end, what is important to understand as well is that we've been talking a lot about technology, right? And how technology is important, etc. Amadeus, we are a technology company. I think that we need to take into consideration that the future is not going to be all about technology, because there are many travelers and many travel agencies which will be complete technology agnostic, or they don't want to be involved in the technology, precisely because there is innovation. In many cases, it's triggered by technology, but in other cases, it's triggered by some other things, that just trends that happen out there. And there will be specifically a segment of the population which I mean, they don't want to interact with technology because they don't feel that that's the way. They want to have like human interaction or whatever.
Yeah.
So whenever we talk about the new age travel agent, I think that we need to take also things to the next level and to understand the different kind of travelers again that will be out there, the different kind of segments that will be out there. And well, many of them they don't want to be in technology. They don't want to have a smartphone. Many people, and we are seeing that more and more, right?
Yeah.
That many people, they don't want to have a smartphone. They want to have just a phone, just to call or whatever, or they won't want to be involved in technology. So that's something that we need to take into consideration.
Okay, thank you. And Simon, now how does your wife book your holiday?
So, yeah. Well, before we talk about that, I think it just following on from what you were saying, I believe it's down to experience and what the feeling that you get and the occasion. If you're booking something for your wife, etc. I always use an example of Apple. So, if you've ever been to an Apple store, it's always packed, always, and that's because the experience and the feeling and that you get, they focus hard on that. So you can go online and buy your new iPhone or buy your iPad or buy your Mac, but if it's a special occasion, let's just say it's your birthday and your parents want to buy you your first Mac or iPhone, they will take you to the store for the experience, right? For me, if I just need a new phone because I've broken it, I'll go online. But if it comes down to holidays, going back to my wife booking the holidays, she does a lot of research and looks at where to go, etc. But travel agents today, from the last time I went in one, it hasn't evolved with the time. And I think that if the travel agents put some time and effort into what they look like and felt like, and you could go and actually have a nice experience in booking that travel, same as it was where you bought your iPad or bought your Mac, to go and spend however much on like a honeymoon or whatever it might be, you would want to go together and actually spend that time and the experience and, and just sample the foods and the drinks of the countries that you might want to go to. That can't be done through technology. But going back to the answer, I don't book family holidays. Business travel, I use booking.com.
Okay.
And the reason is that you can cancel if things change. That's the truth.
Yeah. Me too.
Sometimes they get you and they charge you a deposit. That's annoying because you misread it. But just because you don't know, travel changes a lot with business. So for me, it's booking.com and my wife.
Yep. Okay. Just one point going back to Apple stores, and I know what you mean. They're always packed. It's a great experience to be there. How many of those people are just fiddling with their devices in store? How many of them are actually buying something?
I agree. And
how many of them are getting in the way of business?
I completely agree. And I think that's maybe getting in the way. But I think if you look at how many people queue up to buy a product, rather than maybe when there's a new iPhone, there's queues out the door.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So I mean, again, it's not necessarily being able to be compared to travel, but I think if the Apple store was just a grimy place that, like Curry's used to be back in the day in the UK, you wouldn't bother. But because it's airy, it's bright, the guys are friendly and that type of thing, I think that's what's key.
Good. Do we have some questions? Yes, the lady here. Could you, thanks Natalia, she'll pass you the microphone. I have one here and one over here. Could you just say, and one here, could you just say who you are before you put your question to the panel? Thank you.
I'm Mahal Mujal. I'm not currently in the travel industry, but I'm looking into it.
Could you talk up a little bit into the microphone?
Mahal Mujal from Saudi Arabia, Riyadh. I'm not
Thank you.
currently in the industry. I'm just looking into it. Regarding the whole new age travel agent, you talked about booking and hotels and flights mainly. We talked about experiences separately, but these you can just book online. The advantage of going to a travel agent is, as Peter said, consultant, a concierge, someone who would combine the whole experience together. How would the new age technology would add to that, getting feedback from the client, from the travelers, helping them choose what to order, for example, giving them the Instagram accounts of the restaurants or Snapchats of people in the country, for example. Such
So,
stuff.
so how can they develop that relationship like a concierge, like
I
an
think-
ongoing relationship?
Yeah, during the travel itself, using new age
Yeah.
technologies.
Yeah. Ernesto, maybe a question for you there.
Yeah, so I don't know if I got it well. So your question is more about how the agents establish a deeper relationship with the with the customers, with travelers through social media.
The new technologies are used mainly to get customers to buy and book,
Yes.
and they're not used for the experience itself, for the travel itself. How to use that?
Yes. Well, obviously, we are here to do business, all of us, right? And the travel agencies are there to do business as well. But at the end, the most important thing is customer satisfaction, because customer satisfaction leads to loyalty. And loyalty is the most important thing in business. So my personal point of view is I think that at the end, whatever technology we have in place, etc., should be leading towards excellent customer satisfaction and how we make the overall experience of the traveler something outstanding so that they can come back to the agents, irrespective of using technology or not. And that's going to be always at the core, because there is only one thing at the core in the entire travel industry, which is the traveler. It has been there in the past, it is now today, and it will be in the future. The traveler is going to be at the core, and that's not going to change.
Thank you. And another question here. Can you just say who you are? Thanks.
Yes, my name is Mahmoud. I'm a travel agent from Jordan.
Mhm.
So my question is a straight question. Do we have a statistic regarding the percentage of flight tickets booked online or issued via a travel agent?
Well, it's interesting. Again, the answer is the same. Depends on the product. And so we offer all sorts of leisure travel products. So we enable a travel agent to sell online cruise, flights, hotels, and the percentage of online booking depends on the complexity of product. So within the cruise market, for instance, our clients we enable clients to sell cruises online. But I would say about between 16 and 20% of bookings happen online, where there's the ability to actually book a cruise, and that obviously leaves 80% that aren't. And why is that? It's not a commodity product. There's the dining options, okay, is this ship right for me? And what about all the excursions? I mean, but within cruise itself, there would be more commodity level where it's a straight departure, doesn't include flights, and maybe they've actually cruised before. So it depends on the client as well. But that's one percentage in cruise. I mean, if you then go into hotel only or flights, obviously the percentage changes dramatically. But so it depends on the product. Would be my answer to that.
Okay.
Well,
Ernesto.
the online adoption has been massive in the region in the last 2 years. I would say the first time that we appointed an e-commerce professional in Amadeus for Middle East and Northern Africa was back in the year 2008, if I recall well.
Right.
So it took us 7 years, well, more than 7 years, 9 years almost, to see the real growth. And now what we are seeing is that in the last year there was a double-digit growth for online bookings in the region. The good news is that the online business in general in the region, and I would say all around the world, is not cannibalizing the offline travel business. What does it mean? There's still the overall business, or the overall offline or brick and mortar the travel agencies, they are growing. But the online travel agencies are growing faster. So there is room for everybody.
Okay. I think we had another question here. Perhaps just the last one. Thank you. Please say who you are.
Hi guys, I'm Sagar from flying.com. I'm the flight and operations specialist. My question is really simple. We've been hearing a lot about virtual reality and introduction of chatbots and let's say QR code technology. So yeah, it is something with respect to booking a reservation as a travel agent, what I feel. Okay, but once the booking is done, for example, what Simon said, that you book your reservation and then from some site you said, and then you said it's really easy to cancel for me. So what I want to know basically is like, do you think that there will be an introduction of bots in terms of making any sort of amendments or cancellations? And do you think that it will be a success rate, like it will be a successful experiment to give this opportunity to bots, because customers really come with complex changes and all this kind of stuff. So it's not just about booking the reservation, but what about post booking and maintenance of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. When you build a product for booking, you do need to have a solution for changing and cancelling it. I've not got an example of the travel industry, but we did something for a bank here where we integrated chatbots into a bank. And it was really just to check your balance and do certain things. And for me, I was traveling not so long ago and I lost my bank card. And I had a different phone and I didn't really know how to cancel my bank card. So I just went into Twitter, which I knew my login details, and I just cancelled my card. So if you were to apply that to the travel, I said I used Booking.com. One of the things it gets me is I forget to cancel. And then I have to ring up, oh, sorry, my cat's not here, or like make up an excuse, so then the person feels sorry for me and I cancel that hotel. Whereas if I could just get a push notification from Booking.com that said, hey, Simon, don't forget you're going to be traveling to Dubai tomorrow. Are you still going? I'm like, oh, no, let me just reply no. Then they can cancel that. So I think that at the moment there are not enough examples to give you something that's going to be beneficial. But I do believe that the technology is certainly there to allow it to happen.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Great. Well, we're just coming to the end there. Can I just ask the panel for one last tip, really, for this audience? What's the big news story in technology that they need to be aware of for the next few years? What's your last tip for them?
Well, my tip is don't forget the fundamentals, first of all, of being a good travel agent. That's never going to change. Whatever
service,
what
customer
happens,
service.
With technology, I think more and more the curation offers and understanding the data of your customers and the technology that enable you to do that a lot more effectively. I think that's going to continue to be a focus, well, of our company at least. So.
Okay, thank you. Ernesto?
Well, I would say for us at Amadeus is summarizing 3 words, basically. The way that we see the future of the travel industry and the new age travel agent is going to be a future whenever we see the whole concept of travel as personalized, connected, and sustainable. Personalized because each customer has to be treated differently and the whole experience needs to be tailored to them. Connected because thanks to the technology, they are going to be connected 24 hours during the trip, so we need to take care of them. And sustainable because more and more, all the different travelers will look into different providers that have a positive impact in the society. That's something that we need to take into consideration.
Perfect. Thank you. Simon?
And, my takeaway is really just to keep traveling, because with things like virtual reality that are coming, you don't necessarily need really in the future to be going to those places to see the White Cliffs of Dover or Niagara Falls or the Eiffel Tower. You can just click a button and see it. And I think speak to more people, because I'm in a technology industry and I spend time building bots. But, speaking to people is so key, because local cultures and understanding where to eat at restaurants and all of that, a bot doesn't really do that. It's programmed. So I think that my takeaway would be to keep traveling and keep talking. To humans.
Good. Keep traveling, keep talking. And if there's an underlying theme there today, I think the new age travel agent is making the most of technology, the evolution of technology, to reinforce their customer service. And that, for me, was the message from the excellent panel. So please join me in thanking them for this afternoon. Thank you.